So there was a few articles. One was from Vogue about who pays for the honeymoon.
Oh, right.
So I
Okay, yes.
guess like who used to pay for the honeymoon? The groom's
The groom
family?
side, the groom side. But I think, all those rules from yesterday are no longer applicable anymore because people are getting married older. So, they're not 21, 22 when they didn't really have any money. They were fresh out of school. Now these most young couples can almost pay for their own.
Right.
And I think most weddings now, I don't know if it's still true. It seems like both families get involved with paying.
I didn't
Well,
even realize that the groom's parents paid for the honeymoon because I think with all my actually maybe I did, but I feel like I knew the bride's family paid for
you
the wedding.
correct.
And most people I know, I feel like the groom's family pays for
The rehearsal
dinner.
Yes. Well, that's still applicable.
Okay. But I didn't realize the honeymoon thing.
The honeymoon,
Because
yes.
also I've seen a lot of couples do honeymoon funds as their gift.
I think that's just
It's so
awful. I
tacky.
think it's so awful. But
Right?
I think it's terrible. If you can't afford to do it, you shouldn't do it. Just take a weekend. I mean, it's
A mini moon.
so much of this is about affordability. And I think you shouldn't strap yourselves. I see the cost of some of these weddings and these bachelorette parties and bachelor parties are just they're out of sight. And it's just not financially smart.
Yeah, but like, why is it okay then to ask for blenders and towels?
Well, that was a traditional
Yeah,
thing
but
of a
so
gift.
can't you ask for?
Well, I guess you could ask for
honeymoon
anything,
fund
Kim.
instead?
You can ask for anything, but then just say no gifts, only finance,
Right, or
send a check.
charitable.
No, nobody. I don't know.
Oh, I know
I do
some
know
people
one
who do
family
that.
who was very, very wealthy who
Yeah.
said only to charity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
that's very
they don't
odd.
want random house gifts and they would rather cash. But
Or
you know this,
didn't you have one that one of your friends had wine on the list? That
'cause
was
they collect wine.
right. So that was interesting for a change because a lot of people, when you're in your 30s, it's not like when you're in your early 20s.
Right.
So it's very different.
Have you heard of Zola?
I heard it's a wedding site.
It's a wedding
right?
registry site, but
Very hard to get onto. I tried it
really?
once. I thought it was difficult, but everything online is difficult for me.
I thought this was so interesting. I was just talking to my friend. I didn't realize this. Like, so people can buy you gifts on there, like a
Right.
normal registry.
Okay.
But then you just get the cash from that, and you could either decide to
Do the gift.
or
Oh,
you could
wow.
pocket the cash, or sometimes it's an easier way. Instead of putting one thing on the registry that's $1,000, you can put a few cheaper things and then just decide to get the more
More
expensive thing
expensive?
with that cash.
That's interesting.
I think it's so smart.
I think it's smart. I still think a check is the best gift.
Yeah, it's just kind of awkward sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
Then there's the rise of the mini moon of some couples right after their wedding do a long weekend or
Yeah.
something short versus a month later doing a
Okay.
full.
Well, maybe their schedules didn't align to take longer time, or depending where they are in their careers, they couldn't take a longer one. That's fine.
Yeah.
First of all, today everybody's living together, so for the most part, when you need a long honeymoon, you've already had 2 years of a
travel.
honeymoon.
Yeah, or like you're
Well,
not
That
you're not
has to be around
at
a
home
vacation.
working, like
Right.
you're on vacation. I
Okay.
understand. Also, eHarmony sent us in some data that I thought was interesting
Okay.
for us to go over. So the data shows that singles are entering a more pragmatic but open-minded era of dating where traditional deal breakers like politics, money, and distance are being reevaluated.
I don't think it's as important. to
So-
people. Money, I bet, is still
Yeah.
the most important. I'm going to tell. I've
Okay,
said
why
this
don't
to you
you
a
tell me
million
the
times.
report before I go
don't know
through
the
it?
report, but I
Okay.
know in my mind,
Yeah.
and this hasn't changed, money is the number one issue about young couples. When they cannot afford to do what they want to do, that's the first reason they have a fight. It's not over anything else. It's always over money. I don't care who it is.
The data shows that money matters a lot with talk of recession looming.
Right.
Many singles are
Wouldn't
making
matter.
financially driven decisions about romance. As 75% of singles say they wouldn't sacrifice their financial goals to
Correct.
find love,
Yeah.
and 77% wouldn't risk their
Because they're
career
getting older.
trajectory for
Because
a
they're getting older.
relationship.
That's the issue. When you're 21, you don't think of that.
Right.
When you're 30, you do think about it. It's just, this is a normal thing.
I thought this was interesting. Politics are not a deal breaker.
No.
Despite today's polarized climate, only 23% of U.S.
Yeah,
singles
nobody
say differing
cares.
political views would lead them to turn down a date. Gen Z, 28% in particular, are more likely to give love a chance, even across party lines.
Of course.
I thought that the younger people would be more intense.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I
More
guess
people.
not.
I don't think so at all.
And then the last stat was distance can be overcome if love is worth it. While 40% are hesitant about long distance relationships due to travel expenses, 74% would move for love, with 31% willing to go abroad for the right relationship. Despite tech making romance easier, proximity still wins, especially for women.
Well, that's what I've always said to you. And you're in a long distance thing. I think it's very difficult, and I wouldn't advise it for people. I think it's not a good thing in the long run, because what's going to happen is somebody has to give up something. So it's not like when you live in a community together and you don't have to give up your job or your family or your friends. It's very difficult a long distance. You have to
but
really
you're not
make that
speaking from
committed.
experience,
No,
and
not
I
at
am
all.
speaking from
No,
experience.
but the figures are saying
The
backing
figures
up
are
what
saying
I'm
that
saying.
no, 36% of singles would sacrifice being physically close to their
Well,
family and
36%
friends.
isn't the majority.
That's pretty high, though.
Okay.
Like, that's surprising to me. I don't know. I
think in reality it's not even that high. But all right. It's hard. It's very hard, because you can't, it's very, very hard. I always think about people, who live in Europe. How can they marry somebody that has a job in the States, and then who's going to give up what? I mean, where does it happen? Somebody has to make the sacrifice.
obviously distance is a big one to sacrifice, but like everyone makes little sacrifices.
Well, that's not little. That's a big
right.
one.
That's a bigger one, but I
Right.
do think like
Absolutely. You have to compromise in
speaking
a
from my
relationship.
experience, like if the relationship is worth it, and
do
better than the ones you've had maybe in your hometown, like it is worth doing. I don't know if there's like a lesser percentage of like working out or not, but I wouldn't like let that be a deterrent. I think
No, I think it's not a deterrent if you have if you have a final time of when the relationship really has to either end or go to the next step and really make commitment. Because if you don't have that, then you spend your life on a plane or on a train or
well,
in
I
a
wouldn't.
car.
I agree. Like, I don't think it's pragmatic for life to do long distance.
No.
But I think like
Can't raise a family long
No.
distance. You'll have them one week, I'll have them another week.
yeah, but I think like as you're saying, yeah, a lot of people like they know okay they're going to medical school for
Right.
4
Well, that-
years,
right.
so let's
Well, that's different.
or they're there for a
Right.
job, but their ultimate goal is to be here. Whatever it is, like I don't think you can't do it.
All right. No, I think it's just a little more difficult. So
Yeah.
before you start, think it through.